Hello travelers, Boardman21 here, and today's build is going to be the 𝐓𝐻𝐸 Smiter. Now this is not the Decimator, this is not the Void Knight Forgotten Knight set. This is going to be absolutely no uniques needed, very tanky, high DPS version of the Void Knight Smiter. That's right, you need no uniques. You're going to be very tanky. You can push 500 waves in the arena. It's been done by Cruxius with this build. And on top of that, the DPS is still as high as you can get with a two-handed weapon because you get all the adaptive spell damage, 30 of it from the Paladin tree added to it when you use a shield, which is really powerful. And then on top of that, we're going to be completely void and we can Vite stack for more damage. Now, because we're not running the Devotion amulet, we're not stacking any lightning damage, we're not using the lightning portion of the Smite tree, that means that we can put more points into it, not only doing more damage, but it will also reduce the cost of the current health that's consumed every time that you cast it, which means that you don't have that 𝐓𝐻 thing of life going up and down, which makes you feel squishy, and you're depending upon a ton of leech. Instead, your health will pretty much just stay full all of the time, and then at the same time you have plenty of leech just to keep it completely full. So we're going to have some HP regen per second going on along with a ton of leech, and your health is just going to always stay full, even though you have a huge life pool with this build because you can put health basically everywhere, including idols. It's also going to just constantly stay full even though you are consuming a current percentage of it every time that you cast Smite. Now, I also promised that there would be updates to the Forgotten Knight and to the Gasper's Will that we did, so I'm going to have a few build planners and versions of it with some gameplay at the end. I'm going to go ahead and put those in the timestamp, so if you're looking for a Forgotten Knight set that uses that amulet and the Forgotten Blade Sword, those will be timestamped below after this entire build so that you can see those ones, see the build planner, but I'm not going to go into details and show you everything, but in the build planner you can see the passives and the gear and all of that and how it's different than this build. Alright, let's go ahead and get into it. The skills, the interactions, and just how it all works. For skills, I'm running Smite, Rebuke, Sigils of Hope, Anomaly, and Devouring Orb. For Smite, we have this set up to not go lightning, to not go the 0 cost. We're going to just make it do as much damage as possible, have the highest chance for a double cast, and then of course not consume as much life. So we've got 3 points in Pillars of Light, 5 points in Sacrifice, 4 points in Atonement, 4 points in Deep Impact, 5 points in Conviction, and then 1 point in Blinding Flash. For Rebuke, we just have this set up to give us temporary buffs and damage reduction. If you find yourself in trouble, especially in the arena or against a boss where for some reason your health is dropping and you want to replenish it or just have a couple of seconds to kind of regroup, you can just Rebuke and let your Devouring Orbs do the damage. You'll also get buffs for the next few seconds after you're done rebuking, which will allow you to go ahead and face tank for a bit more. So we've got 2 points in Bind to increase the duration, 2 points in Regenerative Shell, 5 points in Augmented Plating gives you 125% increased armor, which is a really nice boost. 4 points in Brave the Elements gives you 60% less elemental damage taken, which is pretty huge. 1 point Protective Legacy allows the buffs to persist after channeling for the length of time that you channeled. So if you channel for the 2.5 seconds that you can here total, you'll have 2.5 seconds of buffs afterwards. And then 1 point in Burst of Speed for some move speed and cast speed and attack speed on end. And then 5 points in Solemn Vow. So that's 100% increased duration. That means you can keep the buffs for almost 5 additional seconds. So after you're done channeling and taking that 80% reduced damage, you still get the 60% less elemental and the 125% increased armor for up to 5 seconds, which is pretty big for the build if you channeled it the whole time. Going to give you a lot of damage reduction. For Sigils of Hope, we're using this for more void damage and for block chance. We've got 4 points in Empowering Sigils, 1 point in Last Wish, 3 points in Decree of Flame, 1 point in Sigils of Despair, 2 points in Iron Sigils, 4 points in Enduring Hope, 1 point in Tetragram, 1 point in Meditation, and 3 points in Sign of the Guardian for all that extra block chance. For Anomaly, we have this set up for some leech, but mostly because we really want that critical strike chance inside of it, as it really helps get you to that 100% crit chance with Smite. We got 1 point in Void Touched, 1 point in Immediacy, 1 point in Time Bubble, 5 points in Decimation for that 150% critical strike chance, 5 points in Temporal Mastery, 1 point in Time Lord, and 1 point in Lingering Memories, so that you get the Time Bubble for the full duration. It will stay with you, and then at the same time you can keep the buffs even if it disappears for an additional 2 seconds. 1 point in Manipulation, 2 points in Time Eater, and 2 points in Void Maul for some additional leech. For Devouring Orb, we're using these for damage. We have 1 point in Void Adept, 1 point in Hollow Orb, 1 point in Abyssal Emission, 7 points in Dark Torrent, 1 point in Dark Moon, 2 points in Abyssal Rush, gives you some more move speed, 1 point in Cosmic Impact, 1 point in Sightless Star, and 5 points in Extinction, so that the Devouring Orbs actually have 150% more hit damage. There will be another build I do that's based on just Devouring Orb damage themselves, because they can be very, very powerful, but this one is still mostly based on Smite. For passives, I've got 20 points in the base Sentinel class with 8 points in Fearless, 2 points in Gladiator, 5 points in Armor Clad, and 5 points in Time and Faith so that you get health and mana gained when you manually cast Smite. We got 1 point in the Forge Guard with that 1 point in Steel Aegis for additional block chance, 20 points in the Paladin with 8 points in Defiance, 1 point in Honor, 1 point in Holy Symbol, and 10 points in Heaven Fire for that 30 adaptive spell damage while using a shield, which almost takes you to the point where you're using a two-handed staff, which is really, really powerful. Allows you to become very tanky as a spellcaster with the Sentinel class. And then we have 72 points in the Void Knight, our Master class, with 6 points in Temporal Corruption, 10 points in Abyssal Endurance, 6 points in World Eater, 8 points in Void Bolts, 5 points in Renouncement, 10 points in Eternal Form, 5 points in Echoing Strikes, 5 points in Time Legion, 1 point in Avatar of Regret, and 15 points in Dread. You can move 5 points out of Dread and move them into Time Legion if you'd like. For me, I just really like the move speed and the increased void damage, so I went with that and lost a little bit of the Echo chance. For idols, items, uniques, and blessings, there are no uniques required. Now, you can wear some things like the Ravenous Gloves that give you damage reduction. There are a few things you can put in and out, but overall, nothing is needed. This one is going to be great just how it is here with crafted items. For idols, we are wearing 4 of the 1x3s that increase the smite damage. On top of that, we have some 1x2s. Now, you can put anything in the 1x2 areas. You can do 1x1s, 2x1s, with these 1x2s, 2x2s, whatever makes you, whatever gives you the best stuff that it is you're looking for, whether you want resistance. In our case, we went with some increased health, some flat health, and also with some resistances or critical strike chance on some of them, just to get us up there in the damage while also increasing our EHP. For crafted items, I'm just going to hover over all of them really quick. Basically, it's all of what you would think. You're going for vitality on the helm, on the chest, and on the boots. Everything else you're just using to boost your damage or to get your resist. This again will be in the description below. The build planner will also be in the written guide, so check out either spot where you'll have access to this and can hover over it at your own convenience. For blessings, nothing special. Go ahead and take anything that you want. For the most part, I just built into extra armor. You can also get critical strike avoidance here, and between the chest and the helm, you wouldn't actually have to get any on gear. But that's up to you how much you want to farm to get the correct blessings. I don't have the most maxed blessings or even the ones that I would particularly want on the build that I'm about to show you. But these are pretty much the ones that I have, so they do just fine. Alright, for the character sheet, you can see we're just over 3,400 health. We also have about 60 vitality. It is possible to get almost 100 once you start getting into the exalted gear and getting max rolls on implicit, so you can definitely get more than we have here, which is going to increase the amount of damage that you're doing. On my chest, I do have tier 5 poison resist. What you really want is elemental resist, which will end up covering all of your elementals, and then you'll be capped on everything. You already get the 75% just from having the shield itself. We got about 27% armor. This will go up as you use Sigils and as you use Rebuke. Also, if you have the armor blessings, you'll have even more than I have here, as you can get another 300 flat and another 70% increase, which will really boost you well above that 50% damage reduction. And then we have about 50% block chance. Again, that'll go up as you have your sigils active, as I can show you here. Once we get our sigils all active, we go up to 63% block chance. We also have 33% armor. When we rebuke, we get a nice bonus as well. We're up to 50%, and you can increase that, of course, if you have the right blessings. Of course, you'll keep that buff of after you're done rebuking for a little bit as well, which is really nice. So spamming rebuke every now and then just for that buff before you anticipate a hit is really nice. We also got 46% endurance, not quite capped, but we do have our 100% critical strike avoidance. And then for damage, we've got 300% plus of void damage, and then we also have 340% critical strike multiplier with another 100% multiplier inside of the smite tree itself. So we hit really, really hard. Alright, for the skill rotation and how I use the build, I like to put Anomaly on autocast and the Devouring Orbs on autocast. All you're really going to do is smite around and use Rebuke, but occasionally you can cast out some Sigils if you'd like to get them, but usually if you have high mob density, you're going to be getting all that you need just from killing things. And then once you're here, you can smite away. You can see that we're already critting for anywhere from 50 to 80k damage on the training dummy, which is crazy damage. You can get up to 100k once you apply some stacks of shred and whatnot. Your Devouring Orbs will also be hitting for crazy amounts. You can see that our orbs are actually critting from anywhere from 15 to 25k on the training dummy, which is really good damage, as we have a ton of them as well. There'll also be the Abyssal Orbs, which here won't attack the training dummy, but those will be attacking out in real life, which will be doing really good hits as well. And the time rifts hit really hard, and you can just see that you're just doing some massive damage with both of them. So you have great AoE, great clear, and at the same time great single target, especially with the double cast and the echo chance associated with Smite on the Void Knight. And as you can see, you're just super tanky. My health's not dropping when I cast it. We're staying completely full. You just are a complete tank. And like I said, this build has been pushed over 500 waves in the arena, which is absolutely crazy. But that's going to be it for this build guide. I'm going to show you guys gameplay of this first, and then in the timestamps below, there will be some versions. There'll be some gameplay along with a linked build planner for the other builds. I'll stop for a minute just to show you what gear I'm putting back on those characters, do a training dummy with them real quick, and then have gameplay with them as well. And that's going to count as the updated version, as I really don't want to make 4 VK Smiters just because we're wearing different gear. So, without further ado, stay safe everybody, and enjoy some gameplay.
Stand down or die.
Alright, travelers, for the Forgotten Knight update, we basically changed a couple of the skills from what you just saw earlier to where you're going to have Sigils of Hope is no longer going to be giving you block chance. We're not going to have a shield on anymore. We're going to switch some passive points around to not take advantage of the adaptive spell damage when the shield is active. And we're going to be wearing the Forgotten Knight blade that's going to be on our offhand, and then we're also going to be wearing the amulet that's the Forgotten Knight amulet that's on there. And between those two, they're going to give you increased void damage, some void crit chance, your smite crit chance will go up, you're going to have, increased damage, and then the sword itself can give you up to 50 additional flat void spell damage, which is going to make smite hit much harder. Now this one's not going to be as tanky as what we just showed, but even with mostly all of the same gear, you're going to swap out obviously the offhand shield, so we lost a bit of poison resist, we lost a bit of our other resist, we're not having the bone amulet on, so we lost some necrotic and physical, so you will have to kind of get those in other spots, but we're not going to re-gear this whole character because I like the other one more. But I am going to show you how this one plays. So again, now our offhand is the Forgotten Blade, the amulet is changed out, that's basically all that changed other than in your skills. you're going to have sigils reworked a little bit. The build planner is below at this timestamp so that you can play this version if you'd like to keep it. But this is going to be a higher DPS version, but it's going to be a little less tanky. So as you can see, I'm going to go ahead and put my Anomaly on autocast, my Devouring Orbs on autocast. We'll get our sigils out, and then we're going to go ahead and cast Smite on the train damage. Now you'll notice we're not hitting too much higher than we were before, and when we have our sigils active, we're critting a little bit higher than we were with the other build, but basically there's not a huge difference between us other than we're not as tanky, which is why I'm going with the other version. You get 30 adaptive spell damage when you have a shield active, and with this Forgotten Blade Sword, all we're getting is 40 to 50 additional void, so the difference is only 10 to 20 flat damage, which isn't huge. Now you are going to do a little bit higher damage. Obviously your tooltip DPS on Smite will be a little bit higher. Instead of 100k, it's going to be about 124, but overall you're not doing too much more damage, but you are taking more damage. You have no block chance, and now you have that 15% more damage taken because you're dual wielding. So it's not what I would recommend, but if you like the Forgotten set, or you have it and you just want to use it, this build is very viable for it. But again, the no unique needed VK Smiter is going to be tougher, tankier, and do almost as much damage of it. I'm going to go ahead and leave you guys with some gameplay of this build now.
Plenty